our only speaker this morning, so I'd encourage you after the 15 or 20 minutes that he's spoken that we'll engage in a question and answer session, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so Billy, if you come to the podium, as the man says, and give us the benefit of your wisdom. Thanks, Billy.
So are Irish manufacturing companies ready for Industry 4.0? I spent the last year researching the readiness of Irish manufacturing companies for Industry 4.0. I am Billy Schofield, and I'm going to share with you what I've learned about the readiness of Irish manufacturing for Industry 4.0. So thank you for joining this webinar today, and I'd like to thank IMR for inviting me to talk with you today. So at the end of this presentation, you'll have a better understanding of the readiness of Irish manufacturing for Industry 4.0, and you'll have the answers to 4 research questions which I took to solve. So I am a Senior Process Improvement Advisor at the Royal College of Surgeons. I have a Master's in Management of Operations from DCU and a degree in Applied Physics from the University of Strathclyde. Prior to working at the Royal College of Surgeons, I worked in the semiconductor industry. I spent 32 years in process improvement, working for both Intel and Motorola. So the 4 research questions I tried to solve were the following. To what degree have Irish manufacturing companies placed themselves in relation to the opportunities that the 4th industrial revolution is bringing? Do Irish manufacturing companies have a corporate social responsibility programme? And what aspects of Industry 4.0 are being engaged by Irish manufacturing companies? And lastly, are Irish manufacturing companies involved in all the critical elements of the Industry 4.0 concept? So at the end of this presentation, we'll have the answers to these 4 questions. So how did I go about doing my research? So I used survey methods. I done a literature review, a review of the relevant data and literature published on Industry 4.0. I done an online survey, a questionnaire which went out to companies in the IMR network. And I performed face-to-face interviews with IMR industry experts who were engaged with Irish manufacturing. And I'm sure many of you will be familiar with these survey methods. One of the first questions I had to answer was, what is Industry 4.0? What are the concepts of Industry 4.0? And to help me determine that, I built a concept matrix as I was doing my literature review. So I was looking for the most frequent concepts which were talked about in the literature relating to Industry 4.0. And these are the 4 concepts, the 4 key concepts that I derived from the literature on Industry 4.0. So Industry 4.0 is about the smart or connected factory, cyber physical systems, decentralized self-organization, and new manufacturing systems that are adapted to human needs. Industry 4.0 has brought about a new type of robot that is adapted to human needs. It's called a cobot, a collaborative robot. A cobot is a robot that collaborates with a human to achieve a task. In the world of surgery, we've seen huge advancements in the area of robots and cobots. At University Hospital Limerick in 2016, they installed a robotic surgery system, the first one installed in a public hospital in Ireland. So this is the Vinci system that they have in University Hospital Limerick. You can see that the surgeon collaborates with the robot to perform the surgery on the patient. The surgeon doesn't even have to be in the same room as the patient, doesn't have to be in the same town as the patient, doesn't have to be in the same continent as the patient. Of the Da Vinci system, there are some 4,400 Da Vinci surgical robots installed in hospitals through the world, and some 43,000 surgeons are trained on the use of Da Vinci. Other popular systems out there are STAR and Vercius. In fact, the National Health Service in UK is investing in Vercius at the moment. So the world of surgery is really dramatically changing because of cobots and Industry 4.0. This is an example of Da Vinci in action. This is an operation 2 weeks ago, a colon surgery via a 2.5 centimetre incision at the belly button, performed by a Da Vinci Xi collaborating with surgeon Theodoros Volgananis. Great outcome for the patient. Tiny incision at 2.5 centimetres really minimises infection risk for the patient and achieves a much better outcome from the surgery. So the world of surgery is really changing. Now, the best surgeon in the world is actually a robot. The Smart Tissue Autonomous Robot System was tested in 2016 against expert manual surgeons, and it outperformed the surgeons on every task. So it's official, the best surgeon in the world is a robot. So just reflect a second on how you would feel if you went into hospital tomorrow and you were operated on by Da Vinci or STAR or Vercius. Just think about that for a moment. So what I'll move on to next is who responded to my survey, some questions that I think you might be interested in, and the answers to the 4 research questions that I posed at the start of the presentation. So who responded? Job roles of respondees. Top 4 were individual contributors, owners, managers, senior managers. What organizations, principal industry of the organizations? We've seen a wide diverse of organizations respond. The biggest single one was medical devices at 21% of respondents. What departments did they work in? R&D was the single highest department that the respondents came from. And the sizes of the companies that the respondents worked for, 52% came from companies of less than 500 employees, 29% from companies of greater than 1,000 employees, and 19% from companies between 500 and 1,000 employees. The good news is that 98% had previously heard of the Industry 4.0 concept. On cyber risk, 88% of companies were concerned that the move towards Industry 4.0 would increase cyber risk for manufacturing companies. So a lot of people have seen the risk related to Industry 4.0. So findings. Remember, research question 1, are Irish manufacturing companies engaged with the key concepts of Industry 4.0? So we have a Pareto graph here in response to the survey question, what Industry 4.0 technology area is your company most focused on? And we can see in red the key concepts that we had identified earlier on in the literature review. So we can see the connected factory, smart factory is second on the Pareto. Collaborative robots is on the Pareto, and augmented and virtual reality is on the Pareto, which is a type of cyber physical system. Missing from the Pareto is the area of decentralized hierarchy. So it appears to be a lack of focus in the area of decentralized hierarchy within Irish manufacturing. And that's important because in an Industry 4.0 setting, fast decision making is important, and decentralized hierarchy enables fast decision making in organizations. Research question 2, what aspects of Industry 4.0 are being engaged by Irish manufacturing companies. So we have a list here of 14 areas that we can see that Irish manufacturing companies are engaging in. And the top area is data analytics. So that's a rise of the data scientists. So Irish manufacturing see a real need for data analytics in their organizations. And that's important information for job seekers and for higher education institutes. Are they producing people with the right skills to fill this data analytics need of Irish manufacturing? Findings 2, research question 3, do Irish manufacturing companies have a meaningful corporate social responsibility programme? For companies of greater than 1,000 employees, yes, 100% strongly agree that they have a CSR programme. For companies between 500 and 1,000 employees, 100% strongly agree that they have a CSR programme. Now, when we come to smaller companies, less than 500 employees, only 14% strongly agree that they have a CSR programme. And we see a diverse range of responses to this question. So there is a gap. Smaller companies in Ireland are not using CSR programmes. And there's probably an opportunity there for larger companies to enable and help smaller companies develop meaningful CSR programmes. Research question 4. To what degree have Irish manufacturing companies placed themselves in relation to the opportunities that the fourth industrial revolution is bringing? As we've seen earlier, 98% had previously heard of the Industry 4.0 concept. 93% believe that Industry 4.0 will boost Ireland's competitiveness. And 60% report that they are already feeling an impact of Industry 4.0 in their organisations. In 2014, 4 years ago, Ronald Berger strategy consultants done an analysis by country looking at industry readiness for 4.0. At that time, Ireland was identified as an Industry 4.0 frontrunner. And the research I've done so far supports that information. Ireland is well enabled on Industry 4.0. So conclusions from my research. This research has established that Irish manufacturing companies are engaged in 3 of the 4 key concepts of Industry 4.0 as identified in the literature review: the smart factory, cyber-physical systems, robotics. There is a lack of focus in the area of decentralised self-organisation. This research has determined that larger Irish manufacturing companies do have corporate social responsibility programmes, but there's a gap in the adoption of CSR policies by small companies in Ireland. This research has determined that Irish manufacturing companies are engaged in 14 different aspects of Industry 4.0. The principal aspect engaged is data analytics. This research has found that Irish manufacturing companies are well placed to take advantage of the opportunities the fourth industrial revolution is bringing. Irish companies have a high awareness of the Industry 4.0 concept and the competitive advantages it brings, and many are already seeing an impact on their organisations. So I hope you did learn a little bit about Industry 4.0 and the readiness of Irish manufacturing for Industry 4.0 and the answers to those 4 questions which are posed at the start. 2 weeks ago, the neuroscientist researcher Philippe George said, imagine a world where we had robots that could treat Ebola patients and clean up nuclear waste. Well, we're almost there. So I'll take a few questions.